numerology since June 6, 1966. So my area of expertise in numerology has to do with what we call the 9 numbers of numerology. Too often it is misnomered and mistaught as being the Pythagorean system of numerology. However, Pythagoras came a long time after numerology had already existed and been established by our ancient ancestors. Actually, Pythagoras only studied in Mary for about 20 to 22 years from what I have researched. And at that time, all of our ancestors who went through what was known as the Great Mystery Schools were required to study 40 years before they even began the practice. So Pythagoras only maybe got roughly half of what could have been taught to him with respect to the science of numerology, which is akin to music, all right? Now, in the science of numerology, we're dealing with the 9 numbers. There's only 9 numbers. Everything beyond 9 is what we call a compound number, because anything 10 and higher is a combination of the first 9 numbers plus the cipher, or the first 9 numbers plus each other, okay? Now, the number 9 is a very important number vibration. Now, I know probably many of y'all have gone on the internet and read quite a bit of information on numerology. Some of it is very deviant, some of it is very on point accurate, some of it is dealing with our ancient ancestry. I like to, bring it in and tighten it up for you to understand, because this numerology that's being presented today, I really don't call it numerology, I call it something else, because it really doesn't have anything to pertain with your spiritual growth and development. Now, at the present, the 9 numbers, I like to break them down for you. The number 1 has as its symbol a circle with a dot at the center, okay? The number 1 represents unity consciousness. The number 1 also dealing with self. The number 1 also deals with the point of origin, beginning, new beginnings. That's the number 1 vibration. A person who may be born on the 1st, the 10th, the 19th, or the 28th of any particular month of this Gregorian calendar has that number 1 as one of their core or strength numbers in numerology. These people need to be entrepreneurs right off the bat. Why? Because they have a very, very difficult time accepting orders from other people, living under someone else's conditions. Plus, clearly, they just are true leaders. So if you have a child or a grandchild that's growing up, you may want to nurture them in the ways of becoming an entrepreneur for themselves. You will find that they will become much more happier with themselves, because they know they have these inherent qualities, but these qualities must be brought out of them in order for them to succeed in this world that we live in. So that's the number 1. Now, for those who don't know much about numerology, I mentioned the 1st, the 10th, 19th, and the 28th. In numerology, we simply take the digits which are found in any compound number. A compound number, as I said before, is any number that's beyond 9. So if a child is born on, let's say, 28, okay, we simply just take the 2 and the 8, add it together, it produces the number 10, and we further reduce it, 1 plus 0 equals 1. So you want to do that with numerology so that you can get a bearing on the vibration. All of us have certain qualities or certain vibrations. All of us have qualities based on certain vibrations that we possess. Some people have what they say to be favorite numbers, and they hold on to those favorite numbers. But I want to say, when you study numerology, you want to study all of it, especially in terms of your birthday and or your name, because in your name, each letter of the name, okay, based on this English language, has a corresponding number vibration. Okay? Like the first letter of our alphabet, A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, so forth and so on. Okay? Now, with the number 1, the number 1 rules the head. So anything that's going on in the head, and a person has that particular vibration, that's how they're going to deal with things. So you find that people who have the number 1, they tend to be very headstrong. They tend to they tend to react before they think about things. The number 1 often are people who can see things much more clearly. The number 1 individual is a person who can take risks. They're up to the challenge, okay? They're not going to sit back and do nothing. They always want to be in the game and never out of the game. That's the number 1 person, all right? So that's why they need to establish themselves and have their own business. The sooner that they learn and realize this about themselves, the better and happier they're going to be in life. One of the worst things that I see with our folks who have this energy about them, and they're limited in the course of being able to develop themselves completely, is that they begin to not have the confidence that they need to have in order to navigate through this world. And that's another quality of the number 1. You got to have that supreme confidence within yourself. You got to have the supreme faith within yourself so that you can be successful in this world. Okay? So the number 1, unity. You can't talk about unity until you deal with yourself. Okay? So there's no self-unity. If there's no integrity, that's another quality of number 1. If you don't have that integrity and unity, then how are you going to be better able to work with other folk in our community? It's just not going to happen. And number 2 is the next number. Number 2 is the number of what we call duality. It has a dual nature, just like we have cause and effect, yin and yang. That's number 2. The number 2 is what we call the divine feminine energy. Okay? Those qualities in the feminine energy with the female and also with males are constantly being brought out when we deal with this dualness that's in us. And one of the things that happens with duality, there can often be an oscillation back and forth. Indecision, indecisiveness can happen. That's why it's important to establish confidence also in the number 2 child, person, or individual. Too often, the person with the number 2, they have varied ideals, they're very sensitive, they're very genuine, but they vacillate too much. Okay? Now, stop me, sister, here, because I don't want to go into what you're going to be talking about. So the number 3 represents the Trinity. The number 3 represents the union of the first 2 number or vibrations. Okay? The number 3, I call it the genius. Why? Because number 3 is very, 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 they have a lot of ingenuity, they have a lot of creativity, they have a lot of fire, they have a lot of passion, they have a lot of energy. There's certain planets that are associated with the numbers. 1 with the sun, 2 with the moon, 3 with the planet Jupiter. Okay? So whenever 3 is involved with something, they want to do it big, they want to be grandiose. you'll find that you have a lot of people in the entertainment industry. They are of the number 3 vibration. They're big time talkers. They can talk you out of your money. They can talk much game to you. They have the power. The power of the spoken word is the greatest blessing that anyone who has the number 3 can offer society. Okay. Power of the spoken word. And if you misusing the power of the spoken word, this energy will recapitulate on you and work against you. Okay. So that's number 3. And the symbol for the number 3, of course, is the triangle. 3 also deals with vision. Okay. So, Sister Tony's going to talk about a few other numbers, and we're going to come back together and speak on it.
Hi, I'm Omi Tomi. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much.
Somebody take that mic.
Bring it down, bring it down. There we go.
Thank you so much for being here. I want to give thanks to you. I want to give thanks to my parents. And I want to give thanks to my teacher, Bible Bell. I am his forever student. And he has really gifted me with the knowledge. So I'm so happy to be here. But I'm going to ask something for you all. Ask something of you all. I want you all to put your phones down. I want your hands to be free.
I'm taking notes in my phone. I was taking my hands.
It's okay. You can put them down right now.
Okay.
Because I need both your hands. Okay? All right. Anybody in the room's first letter of their name is a D? First letter of their name, D. We got 1 D. 2 D's. No, that's it. Just 2 D's. Anybody with M? First letter of their name starts with the letter M.
Middle name or first name?
Middle name. Yeah. We got 3 people. And the last letter is B. Anybody in the room that starts with the letter B? Last name? Okay. Well, you in the crew. So, do we have any 1s, 2s, and 3s already? 2s? 2?
1.
3? Anybody's birthday starts with those numbers already. 1, 2, and 3. You? Okay. So we got the whole little lesson. We know how to do the numerology. We need to take our compound numbers and make it that 1 prime, right? Alright? So I need all of my D, M's, and B's. I need y'all to start clapping on B. Y'all sure?
Oh.
Clap.
I know what you're talking
Now where are my 8s? Do we have any 8s? No, we're just gonna stick with 4. Alright? Now I want my D's to clap on 2 and 4. I want my D's to clap on 2 and 4. Okay, y'all can stop. No, it's not a black thing, it's a 4 thing. That's what the number 4 gives us. 4 gives us timing and rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? It gives us consistency. You know, it keeps us organized. Right? So that was just my little example. But my D's, I was hoping that y'all could give me the 2 and the 4. It's okay. So I'm here to talk about the number 4. And 4 is our first power number. We have 3 power numbers. But 4 is our first. And it's a grounding number. It gives us the strength to work hard. And we really experienced that grounding of last year, 2020. You know, 4 is the number of confinement. You know, you close your eyes and you automatically think of the number 4. Without even looking at it, we think of a box. So 4 is our home. You know, it's nowhere to go. Right? So 4 grounds us and it allows us to stay 4 also has to do with earth, right? And so we're going to go on to number 5. That gives us a little bit more wiggle room to do what we want to do.
I just may add a little bit on talking about the number 4.
No, sure, go ahead.
As she said, that number 4 is one of the power numbers. And 4 has its association with the planet Uranus. If you know anything about Uranus, Uranus has a lot to do with energy and power. And one of the things that I spoke about in the year 2020, that there would be a lot of power outages. And that did happen all across the United States. The other thing about the number 4, it is the birth number, or the birth date number, rather, of the United States of America, if we use the date of July 4th, okay, 1776. The number 4, as she said, grounds us, it maintains us, but it forces us to grow. In the year 2020, which was a number 4 vibration, many of us, if not all of us, had to go through a lot of growing pains. Okay. The number 4 is a very, very difficult, very challenging vibration to function under. Why? Because 4 demands a great deal of us. Why? Because 4 is the number that deals with substance. And what it is attempting to do, or what it will do actually, is to tap into the sustainable power that we possess, that we may not know. Many of our people are walking around with power, have not accessed that power. They don't know how to use that power. And so that power is being internalized. And once it's internalized, it can drive you crazy. So we need to know the vibrations that we possess. Okay, because if we possess these vibrations and we're not actualizing them, we're not utilizing them, we're not experiencing them, then those powers will begin to possess us. Okay? So 4 is a very groundbreaking number because it represents foundation. Okay, it represents the cornerstone that was rejected by the builders in the making of Solomon's temple. 4 is very, very, very unique because it also deals with the main 4 elements that maintains us: fire, air, water, and earth. So if you are number 4, if you have a child with a number 4, you may want to move them into studying math and sciences and not becoming so afraid and fearful of them. Okay? Many times students will tell you, children will tell you that, oh, it's too hard, it's too this, it's too that. What it's doing is forcing you to deal, as I said before, with those things which are uncomfortable and you may not want to deal with. Okay? So that's more of the number 4. Now, moving into the number 5. 5 deals with the element of air. It deals with space. It deals with the power of our mind. It deals with movement. It deals with change. I heard this good brother here, Tyrain, speak about the number 5 when he came in. The number 5 is a number which will bring about surprises in one's life. It's better to become very aware of where you are all the time so you are not met with that certain surprise. Many accidents by which people have on the interstates, the roads, and the highway can happen under the vibration of the number 5, because number 5 also rules transportation. So when you're in that car, that vehicle, the SUV that you're driving, okay, always be aware, always be alert as to what you are doing at any given time. Because under the vibration of the number 5, things can change quickly. Something can happen like out of thin air. Why? Because 5 is under the rulership of air. As I said before, 5 deals with the mind. So right now, all of us are having to deal with expanding our mind. Okay, there used to be an old advertisement on TV, a mind is a terrible thing to waste. That's so true, that's so real. We have to use our mind. So if you're born on the 5th, the 14th, and the 23rd of the month, make sure that you're using the powers of your mind. Make sure that you're exercising. Flexibility is also needed. Communication, okay, is another watchword with the number 5 vibration. Traveling, 5. All the great attributes of the number 5 involve some sort of change and movement. Never standing still, because if you're standing still, actually you're regressing. Okay, you're just not standing still because the planet, the Earth, this world, it's moving on, and it's moving on very quickly. So the next number that we want to talk about is the number 6. The number 6 is the number, the ultimate number in terms of dealing with responsibility. Everyone has to deal with responsibility, if none other than dealing with your own personal responsibility. Bathing yourself is your responsibility. It's no one else's responsibility. If there ever comes a time that someone has to bathe you, then they are taking on your responsibility, and we call those people caretakers. And you have many people who have the number 6 vibration who are caretakers, who are nurses, who are doctors, who are healers, who are physicians. Dealing with number 6 also requires you to deal with your health. Food, nutrition, the respiratory system, the digestive system, the eliminative system, all deals with the number 6. 6 can be chronic weight gain or chronic weight loss, okay, due to what's going on with your health. The number 6 is a very psychic number. I find that a lot of women, especially our sisters who have the number 6, are very, very psychic, but they have a tendency to take on the burdens and responsibilities of the world and their family because of this number 6 energy. 6 is in a very absorbing type of vibration, so you have to be very careful, because sometimes people with the number 6, men and women alike, are always constantly giving and they don't know how to cut it off. Okay? And so they worry themselves into a state of hoarding. All right? So that's the number 6. And the number 6 deals with also the six-pointed star. The number 5, of course, I didn't talk about that. That deals with the 5-pointed star. All right? And then we come to the number 7. Now, this is a number that I really like because this is a vibration which really deals with us as a people. I find consistently, I've talked to other numerologists, astrologers, and we pretty much all agree that number 7 is one of our key number vibrations because of the spiritual makeup, the spirituality that we possess, the guidance, the inner knowing that we possess. We know things, however, do we act on them always properly? That's the question that we have to ask ourselves collectively as a people. 7 deals with the mysteries. When you talk about the mysteries or the educational system that we founded, it was based on what other people call the 7 liberal arts, but I like to refer to it as the 7 liberating arts, okay? And the 7 liberal arts has pretty much been removed from most institutions of higher learning because the 7 liberal arts was designed to teach you how to think under any conditions, under any capacities. You could go into any field of study under a system of 7 liberal arts and know what to do and to address problems and to solve problems and to come up with formulas and to come up with remedies and to come up with a plan of action to do anything that your mind, spirit, and soul desires. The number 7 also, the number 7 is a combination symbolically of the triangle and the square. The The triangle is 3, the square is 4. 3 and 4, 7. When you get into the symbolism of the numbers and not just numerology, it becomes much more deep. See, our mind reacts to symbolism. There's all kinds of symbolisms. There's all kinds of signs. I'm looking out here across the street and I'm looking at a Texaco sign with a 5-pointed star and a T in the middle. And the color is red and the color is white. They know what they're doing to get you to buy, and keep buying. That's the power of symbolism and numbers and numerologies and letters and symbols, the effect that they have on our mind. And so when you become aware of these vibrations, because all learned Caucasians know this, okay, in the upper echelons of society, then we can deal with the effects that this society has wreaked upon us. So number 7 gives you that investigative mind, that wanting to know more than what's being placed before you. That's number 7. The 7 also deals with the spiritual realm, the other realm, the realm that is just as real as the world that we're living in, just as real as the world that we're sitting in right now and conversing with one another. Actually, under the vibration of the number 7, we set this up before any of us got here. I'm not up here by happen chance talking to you. Everybody in this room, please understand me when I say this. Under the vibration of the number 7, we talked about this. And we came together on a certain level or a certain frequency that said, okay, at this particular point in time in our society and with us, we're going to meet together and we're going to talk about this. Because all of us in a previous lifetime have known one another. And that's 7. 7 deals with the great reservoir, the great ocean of knowledge that we possess. This brother comes with knowledge. The presenter before us comes with knowledge. All the folks who have spoken up here come with a semblance of knowledge that is going to help and further us along. And that's number 7. We're getting back to that mystery school under the tutelage and the vibration of number 7. 7 deals with education. And that's why if you have a child that is born on the 7th, the 16th, or the 25th of the month, that parent, that family should look at putting that child in the best possible system of education so they can further themselves and that they can be a benefit to that family or that extended family. Okay? Sister Obi told me.
Probably the 7's in here too.
Yeah. Anybody here born on the 7th? Okay, brother.
I'm a 16.
16, 7. Yeah. Well, see, 7 is the number that rules film, the film industry.
Wow.
Okay, that's number 7. So that's why you're here with the camera
That's
and
great.
documenting and taking it. So you're in your natural element. I would encourage you to continue on with that. Don't stop. Take it as far as you possibly can. Okay. So, Sister Omitoni.
So I'm going to tell you all about the 8, the second power number. So 4 plus 4, we get double the number 4, we get 8. What does 8 give us? It gives us more grounding. 8 is the number of material. 8 is the money. The 8 is the number of money. You know, so if you got some 8 in your name or in your birthday, you know you like the bag, the money bag. Oh, he was talking about him being a 17.
Leo.
You said Leo? 8 months, that's right. So that means you have 8 energy already. 8 is that power number that really teaches us about reciprocity. You know, giving and receiving on both ends. So for 8, whatever you put in is what you get out. And that's what we do with the exchange of money, the energy of money, right? 8 is the planet, represents the planet Saturn. And the element of 8 is the heaviest leg. Minimum. So 8 teaches us that we are here to learn about the material realm.
And also, I might add, 8 talks about dealing with 2 selves. The lower self and the higher self. Okay? This world and the next world. That's number 8. And so 8 also is a number that deals with a particular mastery. When you hit 7, 8, and 9, you begin to talk about mastering yourself. And so 8 is the number, okay, that is very, very, very stern, strict, and it represents a law unto itself. The law enforcement agencies operate and function under the power of the number 8. What was it? What year was that? Back in when they was killing all the brothers and sisters here in the United States.
2021.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2021. But there was,
16, I think it was.
16. They added up to 8.
You mean the mass shooting?
Yeah, it just got ridiculous. It was ridiculous. And it was a number 8, and I had forewarned, everyone that I was
16 divided by 8 is 2.
2015,
I think it was
right?
15, 16, yeah.
It was just utter ridiculous, and the police was just going berserk in terms of killing us. I mean, it's still happening today, but it's because they're granted and given power, rulership, and authority. And they function under that power and rulership and authority under the number 8.
Which is why we call it the God Force.
Right, the God Force, and that's why with the number 8, you'll find that your law enforcement wears dark colors or black colors because that's what number 8 rules. Okay?
If you flip it to
And
the
so
side,
I often say that brothers and sisters who have the number 8, please be very mindful, not careful, but just mindful when you are dealing with the police, okay? Because you can buck up against them and not, end up coming home. And
like the fight.
we have enough mothers out here suffering because their daughters and their sons didn't make it home when they were expecting them. Okay, so that's the power of the number. 8 is just raw power. A lot of your athletes, and not all of them, have the number 8. 8 is a big money number. It's just not a money number, it's a big money number. So when you're dealing with 8, you gotta think big, you can't think small. All of your CEOs of your major Fortune, I call it 1,300 companies, have the number 8, and they're indoctrinated into exactly what I'm sharing with you. How do I know? Because I was asked several times to be put in the contract to teach them, and I wasn't going on anybody's contract because that is another way of controlling my mouth and what I have to say. If I had gone under their contract, I wouldn't be able to sit here and talk to you and share with you, because they would have somebody watching me seeing what I was doing, because they wouldn't want me to impart to you what I know. Okay? So, power. You got to deal with your power. When you're dealing with the power numbers, you have to deal with your power, folks. Because like I said before, if it ends up internalizing on you, you're going to have some problems. You're going to have some real problems. And 8, it also is a mental number, but it's dealing with the higher mind, not just the mind. 5 deals with the expansive mind, 8 deals with the higher mind. Okay, there's a slight difference in that. Okay?
I want to answer that 8. A lot of times when you have discussions about the 8 and that it's forceful and it's controlling, it has its power, and it's dominant, people start to kind of frown upon that, but
8 is such a great number because we need those people to lay down the real law, to teach the real law. 8 has the endurance to keep going when nobody else can go. They can stay late, they can wake up in the morning. They have the stamina to endure. And so we need that, but along with that, acquiring the awareness to use it appropriately and the awareness to use it, for the good of mankind and not just for self is one of those things that 8 has to kind of balance all the time. Is it for me, is it for them? Do I put in now, do I put in later? So I just wanted to kind of add on the characteristic and the vibration of what 8 is, the God force, which is always ever enduring, infinite, and all of those capacities.
You said infinite. I was just wondering if you turn it to the side, does the fact that it looks like the infinity symbol mean anything?
Sorry?
Yeah, he was talking about the infinite.
Oh, yeah.
When you say infinite and you turn the 8 to the side, it looks like an infinity
Exactly.
symbol. So.
Because that's the characteristic of that vibration of 8.
Right.
Because it has that endurance, it has that infinite stamina, that infinite, and even their power is very infinite. A lot of 8, they are continued to be talked about years after they have achieved their success.
Yeah, so,
what if you are surrounded by different 8s? So for instance, my birthday is on the 17th. Then when you get into my astrology chart, my sun is at 26 degrees. And then my north node in astrology, which is your spiritual destiny, is 8 degrees. So I got 8 degrees spiritual destiny, 17 is the number of the day I came in on, and 26 is my sun degree. And then in cartomancy, my PRC, my birth card, when you have your planetary ruler card, is an 8 of clubs. When these, 8s keep showing up like this, because everything y'all saying, I'm just like, oh, this is a reading for me. I came in on a reading for me.
Okay.
I'm surrounded.
Well, those 8s, you need to be functioning and dealing with big business, money. You need to be handling. A lot of money need to be handled. You need to be passing through your hands. Just like you said, you need to get with this brother here, okay, so that y'all can work together and create an empire, okay? That's what the number is. Okay.
We empire builders?
Yeah. Oh yeah, number 8, definitely.
You build your league, the CEOs, TFOs.
Power brokers, everything, all of that is number 8. 8 has the capacity to dominate everything.
Okay.
No, but so what you're just saying is at least for the last 20 years, jokers have been like, if you would just change how you would talk to people, more people would get along with you. If you would just change how you talk, you know what I'm saying? And I never have said, I'm an 8, nigga, get out of my face. I always be like, I'm passionate, I'm this, I'm that.
Yeah.
So now all of them are wrong. Is that what you're saying? All of them are wrong?
You got to
You have to
live.
use discretion though.
Yeah, you got to live your vibrations. See, that's the whole thing with most of us. We're not living according to our vibrations. Okay?
You living like a 2.
You're not.
You need to be looking like an 8. Living like an 8.
I'm living like an 8. I'm trying to trying to respect niggas.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
But listen,
Facts.
you're here to accomplish the goal, to establish you're supposed to lay a foundation. You're supposed to set up a foundation. So when you decide to exit here and go to the other side, you have already developed whatever needed to be done, okay, financially, okay, in terms of resources and everything else. And that's going to be your legacy. So you got to do what you're supposed to do. All right? And like you had said in your talks, if you don't, expect to get behind more.
Yes.
Okay, on this plane, on this physical plane.
Absolutely.
So you are dealing not only with the physical realm, but you're also dealing with the spiritual or celestial realm as well. And that's the big challenge with the 8 is to bring both of them together.
That's the middle part.
Yeah, that's the middle part.
That's where they connect.
Exactly.
In the Tao, that's the line in between the yin and the yang.
Yeah, exactly. Lord, when I walk through the valley of the shadow of death,
I will fear no evil.
okay? That's the power that you possess, man. You ain't supposed to fear no evil out here.
Kind of look like an hourglass too.
So when the military back in the late 60s and 70s, they decided that they were going to grab all the brothers coming out of high school. Okay, I forget the name. It was called Project Black something. I forget the name of it. But they went out, me and some astrologers, other astrologers, we got together and we figured that they were going after all the brothers that had the power of the number 8 and the number 9. And sent them over to Vietnam. That's what they did. Okay? That's what they did.
And they do it on the slip when they ask you for your birthday at work. They don't care about, they don't never send you a birthday gift.
General MacArthur, one of the greatest generals in military science, in the military, who studied Hannibal, by the way. Let me finish this. He always said, we're going to do it by what? The numbers. Whenever they had a military campaign, we're going to do it by the numbers.
So you know what my middle name is?
MacArthur?
MacArthur.
MacArthur? Okay.
Wow.
This is called vibration.
Heck no.
And the first letter in MacArthur is M, which she was trying to get at, which is 4, which you got to do.
You got the
understand
power of
what
the 4. You got the power of the 17. 764, God
Bro,
equals
that's
17.
great.
I know us 7% of, well, I mean 5% of, which one percentage? They say 7 is the God, but it's not that it's not, but the 17
Knowledge God.
is the God force. The 7 is the knowledge of God. But when you add the 1,
So you put it together, the 7.
and the 7 that creates the 8 is the God force. Alright?
That's
Shiver through the body like that.
okay.
And he's also a master number 22. So he's the 224.
And you got the M, that's the 22.
So now we're
But
gonna.
you know that we didn't talk.
Yeah, he knows. He's showing out.
So now we're gonna move to the number 9, which is
I'm just going back a little bit. What's the symbol for number 2?
the symbol for the number 2.
Symbols, y'all?
I didn't want to crowd it, but you go ahead.
What's the symbol for
Well,
number
one of the
8?
symbols for the number 2.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Entering the temple. Okay.
Which
In
is
the
also,
mys-
it looks like what?
In the mysteries, it's the temple of Aset. And we had sisters teaching in the temple of Aset. At one time it was 90% female, 10% male, and the females sent the males through rigorous initiation in order to get into the temple of Aset.
Jeez.
But of course, much has been changed in current times. All right? Another symbol for, and this is going to be a little archaic and cryptic.
We about to be on 9, but I think they're doing 2 right now.
That's the 2. That's the roof.
That's the what?
That's the roof.
That's the roof?
That's the roof.
Okay.
I forgot what that
It's
symbol
also,
means
it's
in
also
math.
indicative of the unfinished.
Man.
Right. Okay.
Oh.
Creation, yeah. And then that's when we get our 3.
With the triangle.
You can use your fingers.
Oh, no, it's working.
Okay,
Then
so
you get to 4,
so the
5,
number
6, 7, 8.
Oh, okay, now I see what she was doing. I was like, what is she doing?
That's crazy.
you need this one.
Yes,
This dries out. But
Gotta keep them up, right?
okay, so number 9. Number 9, once again, I would say that is another vibration which we have a great affinity for. 9 deals with supreme consciousness. Okay? 9 embodies everything from 1 to 9, because the sum of 9, 1 through 9, equals 9 itself. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 equals 45. 4 and 5 takes us back to 9. 9 is the number which is the great giver. You find people who are born on the 9th, 18th, 27th. They're always giving. They're very, very benevolent. Okay? There are people who know how to overlook the faults of other people. Sometimes they do it too much to their own detriment.
You said 9, 18. People born on the 9th,
27.
18th, and
27.
and then was born on the 18th.
He's a great giver, man, teacher.
Man.
9 also is the number which rules the priesthood, priestess. Okay? And if you have a 9, then probably in the previous lifetime that person was chief priest, high priest, chief priestess or high priestess.
9 is the old soul.
Yeah, old souls.
Graduate.
Okay? So the number 9 is another of the power number. 9 deals with electricity. You know, back in the day, in my era, if you couldn't get a Cadillac, what car did your folks get? Anybody here know? We ain't in the old heads here? We don't have the old heads here?
Caddy,
9,
Volvo.
Dotson.
One more Datsun back then. This is pre-Datsun.
225.
The Electra 225. You couldn't get the Caddy, you got the Electra 225. But we didn't say 225. That was white folks saying 225. It was a deuce on what? Okay. Okay. So the symbolism is in the numbers.
Wow.
It's in what we buy. It's what we purchase. We have an affinity, or we have an attraction to that. Okay. We also have an affinity, well, we have an attraction to all things too, which are, when they're non-physical, we have an attraction to the opposites. Okay. And in those opposites, we are supposed to learn. The 2 main numbers that dealing with opposites are 2 and 8. When you're dealing with 8 and you attract somebody that's opposite to you, you got some karma that you have to deal with that person. It can be karma from this lifetime, or it can be karma from eons ago. All right? If you're dealing with the number 2 and you're dealing with opposites, okay, it's a matchmaking type of relationship. Both of you are supposed to see eye to eye with one another. Okay? If you don't see eye and eye with one another, a schism is created. One is standing over here, the other standing over here. Okay, you can't come together. Okay, that's the number 2. So, we're going to open up to a whole lot more questions that y'all have. Yes, sir.
What's that 360 you put right there?
Oh,
I was just, as he was talking, we were talking, I was just giving some symbolism to the numbers. 360, which equals 9. So 9 is basically what we call everything, all. And then I just put in quotes, own. Like, yeah, omnipresent, own.
360 is what? 360 degrees in a circle. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Master numbers? Okay.
Okay, erase it. Is that okay?
It's very interesting that we're meeting on the 11th today. And the number 11 also deals with knowledge which is being revealed to you. It can come to you through dreams, it can come to you through another person, it can come to you on the internet now, but it also deals with revelations. It's revelations that is needed for you to grow or also to provide you with a warning of things to come. Okay? That's number 11. And number 11 has a lot to do with the sign, the age of Aquarius. Okay? And number 11 also is a vibration which makes one very intuitive. So those people who have the number 11 are very gifted. They can see things beyond this physical realm that we live in. These are master numbers. We're talking about the number 11.
So what is a master number? What is a master number?
Master numbers are they're compound numbers which have the same digit.
Oh, okay.
Here it's 11 is the first one, 22, 33. Okay, now 11, 22, and 33. And a lot of books they will tell you that those are the numbers that you're most likely to see. But in my 40 years of doing numerology and consultation with other people, I've come into folks that got 99, 88, 77, so on and so on and so on. Our folks just kicking it with the energy, but they don't know that, so they don't know how to work with them. And so if you have children, as I said, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, and so on, that got these vibrations, give them the knowledge. Don't hold off on giving it to them. They came here already lit. Yes.
Okay, so when you were talking about the number 3, I had to ask, and I was looking at my life path number, it has your personality number, generation number, and day of birth number. And you were doing for number 3, like if you were born on the 12th, that would be number 3, right? But then there's another life path number, and I'm number 4, because I was on February 12th.
Yeah, we hadn't gotten to the life path. That's a calculation of the month, the day, and the year that you were born. Add all those numbers together, and that gives you your life path. Some people say destiny numbers.
Okay, so my main question is, what number is the more overarching number? Like,
Well, that's open up to what school of thought. I say both. The day that you were born is very, 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 very important.
because I feel
Extremely.
vibration from that.
And then some, like I said earlier, some people have, they will say, well, that's my number. And that's what they hold on to for whatever reason it may be.
I like that.
Yeah.
The other one, the 4.
Well, it means 4, that means you have some work to do.
Yeah.
And remember what I said earlier, 4 is a number that challenges you and forces you to deal with the things that you don't want to deal with. I said that.
It's like you saying, like some people say, like I'm a Sag, okay, but that's, you know, are you a November Sag or you a December Sag, you know? Like saying like you just pick one number out of
A constellation.
a constellation of numbers, then you know you get stuck on that one thing. It doesn't serve you well. You have to kind of look at the totality of your code. You know.
It's like the equivalent of only looking at your sun sign.
Right.
Oh, and then you have other aspects that you have to.
Yeah, moon, Venus,
Yeah.
Neptune, they all matter.
Because a good numerologist, as this brother sitting right here, will tell you there's a spiritual blueprint that he lays out. And that's what's being looked at. Now, often what will happen, you get on the net, the internet is good, the internet is bad sometimes because it can give you limited information. People will just focus, as she said, on one thing. Don't do that. Because there's other attributes that you possess that need to be brought out, be dealt with and worked with.
Yes.
And even with the app's gonna reduce that number.
Yeah.
You know, so if you sit looking at a 4, then a numerologist, the human is gonna say, well, what kind of 4 are you? Are you a 4? You a 13 or you a 22? That's gonna make a whole hell of a lot of difference. But that's going down, you know,
And then
a
the
more
month you were
extensive
born and everything.
plan.
The year that you were born, all of it. It means all about. Yes.
Can I ask what is the significance of an 11 life path number in regards to business?
11 life path number? Well, 11 life path number in regards to business would tell you certain areas to look at in terms of wealth, making money, kind of area, kind of people that you want to deal with. People with the number 11, they tend to deal more with working by themselves as opposed to working with a large group or a large network of people. If you're a person who's into technology or computers, and you got that number 11, you probably could do well, but you would do even better if you were able to work under your own conditions and not work with a whole lot of people. Okay? Yes.
So I was born on the 29th, so would that make me kind of resonate on that master number?
Yeah, that would definitely resonate. It's the 2 and 9. Yeah, brother, he talked about that earlier, about the 29 being the yes.
So what do you feel is like, and of course it's different schools of thought and it's different ways you can break it down, but what do you feel in 11's, purpose usually is and like the role that they're supposed to play on earth, like wherever they end up in, like where they end up. Yes.
Well, if you have the 11, first thing, you got to deal with mastery. You got to deal with mastery of yourself. Because remember, the 11 is made up of double ones and 2 ones. And going back to the original, that's why I say, dealing with the first 9 numbers, knowing those first 9 numbers is going to tell you a lot when you begin to evolve into other areas of numerology. So I would tell you that dealing with yourself and mastering yourself, your fears. Number 11 is a very emotional number. Okay, so one of the things I would tell someone with the number 11, if you have fears, you got to deal with that fear element in your emotions. Okay. And then the other thing, double numbers, compound numbers, they all carry what we call a challenge. If you find out what the challenge is, you just subtract them. the higher number from the lesser number. In this case, both of these numbers are equal, so the challenge would be 0. And I said 0, I didn't say none. 0 in numerology means that you got to deal with all of the above. That's your challenge when you're dealing with the number 11. Why? Because you're moving into master. Okay? You're moving into a state of consciousness that requires you to move in the middle. See, each and every one of us, we sat down where our folks on the other side say, look, you go down here, you got to deal with this. You got to deal with this, you got to deal with this. Okay? Yes?
So why don't you just say 1 + 1 = 2?
Because it's a master number. Now, if you're not vibrating with the 11, of course it's going to show up as a 2. How's it going to show up as a 2? Through your life's experiences. You may, if you're not mastering this 11 and you have to deal with 2, then I can tell you for sure you're going to have to really work on relationships with other people, all kinds of relationships. But if you're able to master dealing in relationships with people, then that'll be a piece of cake.
So, for hypothetically, like when you see 11 all the time, that's not 4 that I'm seeing?
Those are messages. Those are highly cryptic messages that are coming from the ancestral realm. We communicate through numbers. Everything is on a frequency. When I was studying radio, the first thing we had to learn about was AM and FM. Frequency amplitude modification, frequency modification. And you had to know and distinguish between the two. AM always sound terrible. FM, tune into a certain tone, crystal clear. Okay, so it depends what frequency you're dealing with. See, one person can have an 11, another person can have 11, but if they're not operating on the frequency, the higher frequency of 11, you've got two different constructs going on with those individuals. So it depends on how much you want to deal with the vibration. If you're unaware of the 11, you probably are not dealing with 11, you're dealing with 2. To answer your question, what's the same? Yes? Anyone else got a question? So, 22. Yes, it's a lot. But see, we got a lot. We got a lot.
This is us.
Yes.
This is us.
And guess what? We're the ones that created this.
All these things always went down to you.
We created this. Every bit of it.
That's when it goes back to the mind saying this is a lie. No, it's not. That's just the trick. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what our mind has been programmed to say, don't learn nothing new because then you'll be free. You know what I'm saying? The mind.
Apparently, I've been
And so,
attracted to all of this anyway. I was told to ask you to come back because I missed the last time. You know what I mean? Like, apparently I'm drawn to all of this. Something in my life path that I need to know, see something on my journey that I'm going to
Very. It's a barrier you gotta
It
break.
just feels overwhelming right now because I'm still not fully wrap my brain around my whole natal chart and all those aspects. It's a whole lot.
You just started the process of sending.
I know.
22. 22 deals with the mastery of this physical realm. If you got 22 and you're walking on this earth, you're supposed to master it. Folks like J.P. Morgan, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, they got the Windsor, the House of Windsor, they got these numbers 22, and they control the real estate on planet Earth.
That's right.
Okay?
Hold on, man. So what if you got an AM 22? What you trying to say?
Well, I'm trying to say you kicking it hard, bro.
Get it together.
It's overwhelming.
That's some real power.
Is that what she just said?
I mean, there's some folks, I'm trying to think.
trying to get you with my name in there with all that what you just said.
Is it Jordan or is it Magic? One of them got both. I think it must be Michael Jordan. He's got the 8 and the 22.
Well, he has the M for sure.
Yeah, he's got
He's
the 8
got
and
the
the
22.
22.
He's born on the 17th.
And he wore
45.
23.
He wore 23.
Oh, yeah, you were 23.
That's a whole nother.
Now, I'm gonna really kick something in. 23 is what we call a royal star vibration. These vibrations deal with the stars. Okay? And so, when you start dealing with these vibrations, you can make the world become yours. And so, I know David Stern, ex-commissioner of the NBA. I know he saw Jordan coming. Because among the Jews, that's all they got. They got their people. They call it Kabbalistic. And so they looking among our people. Okay, who's coming next? Because it's like you said, brother, you got all this, but we're gonna give you $75 million. Okay, that's the hush money.
Yeah,
Okay, the whole you've been given the whole planet, but you're gonna take $75 million.
Big fact.
But they stamped him with the 23rd.
Yes.
Big fact.
But somebody, Kobe's ancestors stamped him with the 23 because he's born on the 23rd.
Yes.
That was just Jordan's jersey
Yes.
number.
Remember,
Kobe, he didn't need a 23 because he already had the 23 with his birth code. So he went ahead and took the what? The 8.
wow.
Then went ahead and took the 24.
Wow. Jordan came back with that 9 too, that 4
Then he came
5.
back with the 45, which is also a fortunate number.
Right.
He ended up with the 23. He put back to the 2.
And that was his retired number. That's the number of completion.
Okay, so 33.
Now you said about the subtracting one from the other, so you said that works for 2 from 2 is give you
Yeah,
0.
that's another thing. See, all these master numbers forces you to deal with everything because it's a 0. So when you get into the mastery game, in the master game, you can't walk around like a fool and trip up and do something silly and stupid. Because why? Because when you hit this mastery game, you're supposed to know, or you do know. Now, if you revert back to your old ways, then this energy is so powerful that it can snuff you out. 22, if you misuse the power of 22, it will drive you insane. Simple.
Wow.
Simple as that. It will drive you insane if you misuse the power.
Now, is there a big difference if it's like 222 as opposed to 22? Is there?
Yeah, well, the 222 again, that takes you into those messages. Now, I've seen people put 2 in the first name, 2 in the middle name, 2 in the last name. And I tell them that, they really got to deal with things pertaining to their health, how they treat people, things like that. That's another area. Let us get through these master numbers here. Okay.
Pause. You said you have numbers on your names?
Yeah, you got numbers in your name. Yeah, you got vibrations in your name. Like I said, you got a whole blueprint, spiritual blueprint. There's many different what we call delineations that you do in numerology to determine outcomes. Okay, I'll go to that. Let us get through this, and we'll show you real quick. So 33 deals with Christ consciousness. And when I say Christ consciousness, I'm not just talking about from a Christian religious perspective. I'm talking about a pure Christ consciousness. One of the things that when you were initiated into the mystery schools, you received what was called, and you became Osiris X. Now X carries the number 6 vibration. What did the Honorable Elijah Muhammad do to the brothers who came, the sisters who came into the nation of Islam?
Gave them all the X.
Received the X. How did Elijah Muhammad know that? Okay.
Very good education.
He knew.
All right.
Got that knowledge.
So 33 is dealing with the Christ consciousness. 33 is a powerful force for him. 33 makes you a master healer. You talk about Jesus and the Christ, that's a title. It's not Jesus Christ, it's Jesus the Christ. Okay, so he was a master what? He was a master healer. Master healer of what? The mind, because 33 broken down to 6 deals with psychology of the mind. Alright? So 33 is very powerful to do. It's a very powerful number. And I've come across with our folks with the 33. Now, as I said, you get these authors in numerology, they will tell you, well, no one can have 33. You can only have 11 or 22. That's a lie. Don't believe that if you ever study numerology. You can have 11, 22, 33, 44, 55, 66, 77, 88, and 99. How do I know? Because I have seen it in brothers and sisters' charts. Loaded. Loaded. Which is just.
Trying to figure out, was 13 a master number? Or what's the significance?
It's a type of master number, yeah. 13 gives you power and dominion. There's a saying that he who has knowledge of the 13 has power and dominion. 13. See, we were taught that 13 was a bad number. 13 is not a bad number. 13 is a powerful, forceful vibration, and fortunate number. Why do you think these folks set this country original what?
13 colonies.
And what's the 13th colony?
Georgia.
Georgia, thank you.
Nice.
Right? So you know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So you got the power of 11, 22, 33. Then we come to 44.
Have you ever seen anybody with a 44? Because I've never met somebody that was beyond 33.
You never met anybody? Yeah, oh yeah, I've come across, like I said, I've come across all of these folks with all of these.
Yeah, 99.
You know, just folks who working jobs as a janitor. You know, brother walking around with 55. I said, well, brother, don't play the numbers, you go hit. But 44, definitely the power number. Once again, when it comes to organizing people. If you're looking for somebody to organize large groups of people, find your person who has a number 44. Okay? Power organization, power managing large sums of money, brokerage houses, things of that sort fall under the number 44. 55. 55, a powerful mind and mental number. It's dealing with mind and mental mastery. I've seen this. A lot of people who like to gamble, they got them 55s. And they not only gamble, but they win.
So they're not gamblers, they're winners.
Yeah, exactly.
A quick question. As far as being an opportunist, let's say I'm running my daily numbers and I run into a 55 day or a 44 day. Is that so boom, I get let's say I'm on a 42 day. I know in 2 more days I'm I got a 44 day. That's the time for me to hold a webinar or do a launch or something where I need groups of people. And if I'm in a 53 day, so basically I can stay 2 days ahead with this.
Oh yeah, yeah. You can stay days and
So you have,
years.
you can have a power day.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
So,
How do you, so you can have a power day. How do you figure this out?
how do you determine your power day?
Yeah.
I didn't add that. I guess I can show you that when we finish the power master numbers. My bad. I didn't open that Pandora.
Let me know. That do feel different on some days.
Whatever date you're born on. If you're born on the 17th, and that comes to 8, any calendar date that adds up to 8, that's going to be a power day for you. That's on the simplistic one.
Okay.
We can go a little further, but that's like a class I have to teach.
Yeah.
You can teach to show you how to find out what your power day is based on your personal power days.
Oh,
They're just regular power days, and you have personal power days.
You willing to
But you
teach?
tap into
I
both.
will attend
Okay? So if you're born on the 8th and it's the 17th, tap into it. Do something that's going to make you some money.
Right.
Or make contacts with people who are talking or interested in making some money. If you're dealing with the number 7, you want to take people on that mushroom trip. Okay? You want to do it based on the vibrations. I find that when you do it on the vibrations, you meet with so much success and very, very little effort is needed on your part.
It's crazy. It's crazy because what I do is when they ingest the mushrooms, I write the time down. So like anytime you got a birth time, everybody knows you got your sun, moon, and rising sign. So I look at what the rising sign is. And so last night when they went in, it was 22 degrees rising sign. So I just went to 22 in the numerology, and I was like, oh, this kind of experience y'all gonna have. I didn't say nothing the next morning. I was like, so how was it? And down there like they was reading out the book.
Now, 66 is the next one. We'll move quickly. 66 is a number which 66 is a master number which deals with community consciousness, really looking out for one another when everybody's on the same plane of consciousness or state of mind. Okay, that's 66. 66 also deals with a high level of creativity and also with imagination. So if you got a child and their name comes out to 66, or they're born on June the 6th, you know, that child may be a child who's got a very vivid imagination, but we need to listen to them and not say that their child is too imaginative. They're talking crazy. No, they're not. They're using a lot of psychology. Yes.
Why was 666 made to be such a negative number? I mean, I know it's like the breakdown of numerology has the neurons and all that. You know what I'm saying?
The same reason they demonize everything.
Well, 666. Well, you know that one of the symbolism of 666 is 6 protons, 6 neutrons, 6 electrons. Okay, and when you know about that, then you can figure out atomic energy, radiation. Okay, power. See, 6 is very powerful when you're dealing with feminine energy. Okay, 6 can also be a hex.
Whoa.
You misconstrue or misuse the energy and the power of the number 6. So that's why they placed it on us. It's like a hex.
Wow.
It's a hex that's been put on you. Okay, and you wonder why I can't see through this, because it's a doggone hex that's been placed on you. So you got to acquire some knowledge. Okay, to open you up. But in 6, okay, 6 is dealing up here in the crown of the 6th chakra, the pituitary gland, which greatly affects the female anatomy. female body, and then also the female reproductive system. So there's many layers when you're talking about 6, 6, and 6. Okay, you got mental health fixed into 6. You got physical health 6 with 6, and you got your psychic or the energy that's beyond this world with 6. And so they throw us into they tell us like what George Bush used to say. It's a bunch of mumbo jumbo. But all the time he was studying that. So that's the makeup of 666. Okay? And then 666, it adds up to 18. So back to 9 again. Power. Folk don't want you to use your power. That's what it's all about. So 77 is the next one. 77, this is a number that definitely deals with spiritual hierarchy. When you're dealing with 77, you really got to study. You really got to be in when you're dealing with the powers of 77. 77 also brings about a change in your state of consciousness, your state of being. No longer are you just merely a human being. Okay, it's like you're an ascended being when you're dealing with 77. Okay? 88. Uh-oh. 88 is definitely great. Power. So the 88, once again, raw, untapped power. When you move into the state of 88, you can change your karmic state of mind, you can change your karmic conditions under the number 88 vibration. Why? Because when you add 88, 8 and 8 becomes 16. Let's talk to you about 16. 16 is a number which says that you need to know the future before that.
You need to know that.
You need to know. You have, or you're given power to know.
Oh.
Let me put it that way.
Okay.
Okay. Seeing the future.
Okay.
16 is also a number that deals with a warning. Okay, so if you see 16, 16, you know that's a warning. And even if you see 61, that's a reverse of 16. That's a warning. Remember 16 equals 7, so you need to know. And you need to grow into the knowledge of the number. About things before they happen. Not a fraction before it happens. I've had many people who got the number 16 and they were in terrible accidents. My sister was on 285 near 75 North. She was in a bad accident. And she said, you know, brother, she said, but just before it happened, I knew it was going to happen. I said, that's 16. But I said, there were many messages that were given to you prior to that, and she paid attention. And so months later, she called me, she said, you know, my grandmother came to me and told me to be careful. So we got to listen. Yes, sir.
So numbers means things. So like with the 666, do you believe in gematria? Do you know about gematria?
Gematria, yeah,
okay.
has a big role to play.
Okay.
This, you know, you got different branches when you're dealing with the numbers.
Right.
I'm not going to sit here
some
and
for
tell
good,
you that,
some for bad, like how they use it.
Yeah. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that, you know, this is all numbers. You may have to go into astrology, you know, study the tower. All of them are dealing with some aspects of the numbers.
So primarily 16 is like a number name. Well, I mean, I see like my birthday is 616. So I see that number a lot. But a lot of the time, you know, it's not necessarily that. You know, I was curious. That's the first time I heard.
Yeah, when you said 616, you know, well, remember 616 adds up to 22. So you gotta step into your power. See, when you add your birth month to the date that you were
born?
That tells us about something you're supposed to achieve in this lifetime.
Whoa.
So you're supposed to achieve some mastery. What you're doing right there, you need to be the master of that lens, that camera.
So the 616 and the 517, they hang out together, it's supposed to be a whole bunch of masters?
Yeah.
Wait. You said the birth month and the birthday?
And the birthday.
Wow, mine is 3/19.
3/19 is 22.
Wow.
See, I'm telling y'all, all of y'all sitting here got these master numbers. Vibration. Okay. Y'all walking around with it.
Don't even know.
Walking around with it. They're walking around with it. Ain't nobody telling you.
3 feet from gold.
Yeah, I share an experience with y'all that I had how I came into this. I had a teacher, like I tell you, I've been dealing with this since June 6, 1966. On June 6, 1966, the teacher that I had, she was a foreign exchange teacher. She lived in Mary, Canada. And she used to tell us that she would look out of the window and she would see the Great Pyramid. Okay? And then she said something about pyramids, pyramidology, and she said numerology. It struck a chord in me. I jumped up in my seat. I said, I know about that. And when I sat down, I said, I don't know about numerology. And I did. But when she said that magical word, lightning hit me.
It all connects.
Okay? So that's what got me stopped.
Whoa.
So, the power of 88 that will come to 99, and the power of 99 is about overcoming all this madness you're dealing with. And you become a seer, S-E-E-R. You can see everything. You can see the value in it and the lack of it in your lifetime. Yeah, so 99. Now I must tell you, if you know somebody that's dealing with the 99, tell them they need to walk the straight and narrow.
In the what?
The straight and narrow. Because the number 99 or the nines, they are very serious type of vibration. And you'll find that people who have the 9 or the 99 with themselves, they have a lot of I's and R's in their name. Okay? They tend to be very serious-minded people, even if they're children.
First letter.
Because then you get all eyes. Then it's the only syllable in there. Because then you it's all eyes.
All eyes, yeah. You deal with some high-powered stuff. Some high-powered energy. Okay? So that takes us through the master number vibration. So that gives you a good idea about power in these numbers. That's
When I
right.
used to think the number 69, the rapper 6ix9ine.
6ix9ine.
So he has, that's his name, 6ix9ine, the
Right.
rapper with rainbow hair, and then he got 6ix9ine tatted all over him.
Right.
He like blew up, but talk to that number, 6ix9ine.
Well, 6'9", and I want to add on to what you just said. It's because 6'9",
Wait, that's not how you was telling them?
Yeah.
He's not snitching on people. He's not snitching on somebody.
Oh, you see,
Okay.
6'9", Jimi Hendrix had a song called out "If 6 Were 9", a long time ago. The 6'9", well, I didn't make it exactly, but you have the
There you go.
you have the yin and yang, okay? And so that's another constant energy and vibration. 6 dealing with more feminine of the energy, the 9 dealing with more of the masculine of the energy. Now when you take 6 and 9 and add them together, you're dealing with 15. 15 is a very, very serious and highest, very, very strong, what we call a cult type of number. People who deal with 15 usually go into some real serious magic. You know, like I heard somebody say, like going into the cemetery and living in the cemetery for 3 days. Okay, that person's dealing with their 6'9" type of energy.
Oh, there's your answer.
Yeah. 669 is a cult.
All right.
Yeah, it's a series of cold
That's my man.
I have a question. 23.
23? Yeah, the 23 is what we call the Royal Star number. 23 actually deals with Sirius star system. So if you know somebody that has 23 or they're dealing with 23, they embody the energy of star system series.
Anybody's last name is a W?
Yeah, if you got W's in your name, you're dealing with that energy. It's the 23rd letter of the alphabet.
Can walking around with one, I'm gonna say the 23rd energy, can walk around with the 23rd energy and like not getting into it, like earlier you was talking about the 11 and the 2, somebody's not, they got the 11 but they ain't aware of it, they will live their life out as a 2. Can that, the 23 with all that power, could that torment a person who is walking
Yeah.
around?
A lot of things can go in reverse in their life. See, 23 is a 5. 5 deals with polarity. Attraction, repulsion. Okay? So, person that got the 23, I tell them to be careful. And then we know that, there's a certain cycle when you go through your name, if you get the W in there, you're gonna hit that number 23 vibration as well. Okay, so there's a lot to numerology. It's vast. Yes.
Why would you tell a person with the 23 to be careful?
I would tell them to be careful because a lot of things can happen very quickly and can get out of control very quickly if they're not dealing with the energy properly. See, 23, you have to deal with balance. 5, dealing with balance. 5 is balanced because you got 4 numbers before 5, 4 numbers after 5. And so there's balance. Okay, so you gotta have that balance when you're dealing with 5 energy. This Gregorian calendar year says that we're in the year of 2021, right? But I'm gonna take you a little further because y'all's minds are accelerating. So y'all asking questions. But when you get into 2021. Now, someone who's been dealing with numerology, they would say, okay, 2 plus 0 is 2 plus 2 is 4 plus 1 is 5, okay? I'm gonna look at that, but I've been dealing with it a long time. I know there's what we call this Kabbalistic breakdown of numbers. I'm gonna take the first 2 numbers, okay? And I'm gonna add it to this number combined. And so I'm looking at 20 plus 3, which is 23 for this Gregorian calendar year. So I know that there's some high-powered magical things that are going on right now as we speak. And the thing that's most important, you got to expand your mind. You cannot stay in the same mental state or position or condition. Okay? You got to move forward.
You can do it backwards too.
Last
21
year,
too.
2020, which was a 22, as well as a 4.
That's
Because when you drop the zeros, what do you have left? 22. Last year was preparing us all to deal with this year. There's going to be a lot of changes. And when I say changes, I'm not just talking about here on earth, but also in the ethers. Because the 5th element, and we talked about the 4 main elements, fire, air, water, and earth, but the 5th element is dealing with what? Or the etheric realm. So there's a whole lot of activity that's happening in the etheric realm that's going to be descending into this realm. Okay? So keep that in mind.
Wow.
Number 5. So the number 5 is pretty awesome. And the number 5 also deals with the netter that we know as Tehuti. Europeans refer to him as Thoth. He's also known as Enoch. Okay. And you got Caucasians in Europe dealing with a whole lot of what they call Enochian magic that is ours. So that's how they're getting into magic. 5 deals with magic. All of us deal with magic. If you're dealing with vibration, frequency, spectrum, which is light, you're dealing with magic.
So now
And that's what technology is all about.
technology, 5 grams.
Yep. And remember the rules technology is another 5. Okay? So the power is another 5. If there's one number that
We should
has,
be doing the money dance, the happy dance.
if there's one number
doing
that
it all
has
day.
5.
People behind me want to see. That's the only reason I ain't looking at that. But I can do
Let
it
me tell you,
break dance.
one last thing. If you take 1776, you got 6, 4, 10, 17, carry 1, 8, 17, 1 and 7 is 8, 8 and 8 is 16, 16 and 7 is what?
23.
23, which is 5. Okay. So, this system that we're operating on is operating on a 4 and 5. That's why when cell phones first came out, I was telling everybody, look, if you got some money, you got some coins, invest in any tech company that's dealing with the cell phone, you're going to make you some money.
When you say that?
When the cell phones started really coming out.
Okay.
Okay? Because 5 deals with communications. And those people that did, they made a bunch of money. And everybody got what? Everybody got a cell phone. Why does everybody have a cell phone? Because of this number. You need it happen. Communication. Try traveling without a cell phone these days. Try doing anything without a cell phone. Pretty soon, I just read that debit cards, credit cards are going to be eliminated. Phone.
Can you do the number on DENT? D-E-N-T? D-E-N-T.
D-E-N-T?
Yeah, D-E-N-T. Because, I mean, this is what you're talking about. I'm just filling it in.
Oh, okay.
So, as he does the number, DENT is a new cryptocurrency that they came out with 3 years ago, where you will be able to give away usage from your phone, and it was moving at like less than a penny. I mean, like what in cryptocurrency they go out 8 digits, so you could buy like 1 million coins for like 50 cents. But if it goes to like 3 cents, your money is just like went up 5,000%. And so this is a what, a 7?
Yeah, 7.
So this blew up in the last 3 months, and it's the coin of cell phones. This is the new coin, what you were talking about.
Wow.
This is the new coin. If you look up the DENT coin, you will get everything you just said. That's a coin right there.
So we're probably looking at 2023.
Yeah, okay.
Because 2023 is going to be Universal Year 7. So whether it's here now.
So we need to do it now.
Oh, I mean, but you can still copy
Yeah,
something.
but it just blow up. You're probably going to see much more of a presence in 2027.
I mean, but it's less than 3 cents though. So you still can buy a whole lot of. I'm talking about jokers who bought less than a penny, and it went up 5,000%. Like I know somebody who put like $1,000 on it.
They just wait.
Killing right now.
All right, bro, I'm going to do that. Thank you. Thank you for that insight. You see, it's interesting that it's a 7 because the 7, it can make you money, but it's like you got to be in the game. You got to know. You got to know what's up.
Well, you said the 16 was see the future. That's what
Yeah,
you're saying.
yeah, exactly.
See the future.
But VIT is 5. VIT. That would be 5.
Who is Bitcoin? Bitcoin, their letters is BTC.
No, but I'm saying just the word.
I know, but it's not a bit, it's Bitcoin.
Why is it Bitcoin?
That's the whole word. That's like you said that DE is dent. No, DE is Delaware. DENT is the whole word.
So is it dent coin?
Yeah, no, there's a dent and then there's a dent coin. Don't buy dent coin. Buy
Oh,
dent.
I see what you're saying.
Right.
Okay.
But BTC is Bitcoin. That's the letters for B. They all have like letters.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, okay.
Like an exchange.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
We'll jump on there.
Yeah, BTC.
Can you guys give us your information?
Definitely.
Can you give us your information so everybody can get that?
How can we contact you?
Contact you, social.
Brother Lavelle, browser Lovell, ROWCR. I'm on Facebook, and I have a Facebook page called the Society of Numerology, in which 90% I write. I don't copy and paste from anybody. Okay, if I post anybody, I make it known who the source that it comes from. And then my email is vibratonsociety, is all one word, at gmail.com.
Do you do these classes often?
Hmm?
Do you do these classes often?
She said, do you do the classes often?
Yeah, I'd be willing to come back and do this very
Awesome, awesome.
Yeah.
Are you still doing Badoo?
No, I've been there a while. I don't know what's happening over here, with them allowing people to get together and stuff.
And you say
My
you
IG it's a 13.5. ISSA 13 VIV.
and what's your name on Facebook again, brother?
LOVELL ROWSEL.